The US economy has recently taken a hit, and this is the first hardest proof that the country's economic performance may not be as strong under President Donald Trump than it was under President Joe Biden. Well, this data comes from the first quarter of 2025, when the real GDP, short form for gross domestic products of the US, decreased by 0.3%. So basically, in simpler terms, GDP measures the total value of goods and services that are produced in the country. But this number has been adjusted to account for inflation. Well, this negative growth was the first decline in the economy since early 2022. Now, to put things into perspective, during the fourth quarter of 2024, the economy had actually grown by 2.4%, which was a positive number. Now, this latest downturn shows a change in direction and is significant because it is the first time hard data has confirmed what many were actually suspecting, that the economy isn't doing as well under Trump as it did under Biden. Until now, most of the evidence were based on opinions and surveys. So, this is the first real look at how the US economy is actually performing. One of the main reasons for the drop in GDP was a massive increase in imports. As American consumers and businesses were preparing for Trump's tariffs, they rushed to buy goods from abroad, causing imports to surge. Now, this surge in imports led to an economic slowdown because it meant that the US was buying more from other countries than it was selling abroad. However, interestingly, despite all this, Trump blamed the economic downturn on Biden. In a post on his social media platform, Truth Social, he suggested that the current situation was caused by Biden overhang, meaning that Biden had left the US with bad economic number. Trump promised that economy would eventually boom, but he advised people to be patient. Trump's response to the situation even suggested that the recession, which some market experts actually think that the US is heading towards, might also be Biden's fault. He went as far as to say that his first quarter's economic problems were caused by Biden because Trump had just taken the office in January, and he claimed that the same might be true for the next quarter as well. Well, while the US economy struggles, China seems to be doing better than expected. In the same quarter, China's GDP grew by 5.4%, which was a very strong performance as compared to the US. Looking at the stock market, things are also not really looking good for the US. In 2025, major US stock market indices like S&P's 500, Dow Jones, etc. are down between 5% to 12% since the start of the year. If we look even further back to November 1st, 2024, before the US elections, these were already down by 2 to 3%. So it's clear that the market has been struggling. Even the US dollar has weakened. It has lost about 10% of its total value against several major currencies, including Japanese yen and Swiss franc, and also the euro. Well, the dollar has also weakened against the Chinese and Canadian currency, which were two countries hit hardest by Trump's tariff. When it comes to trade deals, Trump's administration had hoped to finalize some agreements with certain countries very soon. However, India's trade talks are still far from finished, and there are no official negotiations with China at this point of time. Also, the US trade representative explained that although initial deals with some countries might be completed very soon, there's still a long way to go before everything is settled. All of this shows how complicated and interconnected the global economy really is. While Trump has been very critical of Biden's handling of the economy, the truth is that many factors like global trade dynamics, tariffs, and inflation play a key role in the current economic struggle. As the year moves forward, it will be very interesting to see how the US economy adapts and whether these problems can be fixed in long term or not.